This course is presented to you free of charge by TTJ Tech Services of www.ttjtech.biz and by Stir It Up of www.stiritup.com. And remember, stir is spelled with a U, not an I, so that's STURITUP.com. TTJ Tech Services and Stir It Up are pleased to offer this course to you to the glory of God and to the benefit of all those who listen. And there we go, my friends. Praise God and welcome once again to session number 5 of iPad for All Computing from ttjtech.biz. We are going to be talking today about actually getting started now with the iPad. We've done the setup process. We've talked about iCloud and Apple accounts. If you even want to buy an iPad, we talked about the different iPad models, and we did a general review of voiceover gestures for you. So today we're going to really hit the ground running now and get started learning the iPad. Now, I did do a physical tour of the iPad in session number, I believe that was session 3, if you need to go back and review that. But I will make some general reminders for you today. First reminder is we're going to be teaching, as we always do, to the latest and greatest, and that means that we are not going to be talking about iPads that have home buttons. If your iPad still does have a home button, you can make the mental connections and everything will still work fine for you in most cases. But the iPads we're going to be focused on when we describe things are going to be the 10th generation and newer. And of course, for several versions back now, the iPad Air and Mini and Pro have not had home buttons anyway. So just be aware of that. We remember that there is a top button, not a side button, but a top button. The buttons on the side are the volume up and down. They will change which button does which, depending on the orientation of the iPad. We discussed that last week. And remember that in some cases, like the 10th generation iPad and the iPad Air devices, while we have Touch ID in the top button, and for the iPad Pros, of course, it's Face ID, not Touch ID. Remember that we said that you can hold your iPad in any orientation that you like. So portrait mode is the sort of vertical mode. Just want to review this with you. And that's, where you would have your top button is literally at the top of the device. The bottom edge has the connector, USB-C connector, typically now. And that is portrait. And then if we turn the iPad sideways, that's landscape. Now we can have landscape with the charge port to the left or to the right. And actually we can even have portrait or portrait flip, which is portrait flip is like upside down. But by default, the screen is automatically going to rotate and adjust so that you literally can be holding the iPad in any direction that you choose, and it does not matter. It's going to continue to display properly what is the right corner of the screen. If we say, that icon is in the upper right corner of the screen, it's still going to be upper right corner for you, regardless of which way you're turning it. So the screen, it adjusts and modifies and rotates for you. And VoiceOver will announce which orientation you're in. Now, if you have the iPad on one of the smart keyboards, like the Magic Keyboard with trackpad, for example, or the Magic Keyboard Folio for the iPad 10th generation, the iPad must be in landscape with the charge port to the right. You don't have an option there because that is the proper way that it fits into the case. And so it must conform to that. But other than that, you're able to turn it in any direction that you wish. And we've assumed by this point that you've completed your iPad setup. If you haven't, you can get in touch with us and we can help you with that. But otherwise, we're going to continue on now talking about what the iPad home screen looks like and the different areas of the home screen. Some of this will be a bit of a review for our iPhone students who took the class in the fall, but of course, it's not going to stay that way. We're going to go much deeper in this class. So allow me to introduce you to the iPad home screen, and I will do a screen share so that we can see that if we have sight. Some of you do, maybe. And we're going to be broadcasting. We're also going to do original sound so our voiceover users can hear what voiceover says. Now, let's see. I'm going to put the original sound on. We should already have our screen share going. And now you'll be able to hear voiceover.
Button. More button. Everything on your screen, including notifications, will be recorded.
Yeah, I think you can hear that. So we're going to try to keep the iPad fairly still so we don't have a lot of background noise. And I do need to make a quick adjustment to it here. All right, hopefully that's good. And I know I need to kind of talk a little more softly so it doesn't distort, because that really does change things when you put original sound on. So I'll try to be cognizant of that. Now, we're going to go to the home screen. I'm in the Zoom app, of course. I'm just going to swipe up from the bottom edge. Remember our go home gesture. We put a finger on the very bottom edge of the screen, whichever way the iPad is facing. We hear a little blip sound, as I call it. It's just like boop, just a little noise. And then we swipe our finger up to the second blip sound, and we are home. Let me demonstrate.
Zoom. Bobby Greer, Barbara Shaw.
Now I'm looking at my participants. Do it again.
Picture-in-picture displayed. Clock. 2 TV.
And I am home. What it actually has here is it says picture-in-picture displayed. We're going to learn about that later on in the course, but much later. But what that is because we have a video window. Zoom is a video app, right? We theoretically could have people's cameras on and so forth. We don't normally use video in these classes, but you could. And so picture-in-picture allows us to still see that video in a small corner of the screen, in a little window, so that if you really did have to do other things, you could. Again, with screen share, we don't recommend that, but it is theoretically possible in some cases. So let's now tell you that we're on the home screen, and the home screen is where all your icons are, but you probably already know that from using the iPhone. And you can have multiple pages of home screens. We'll talk about that. But this is where you'll always go back to, or you'll end up after you first unlock your iPad. You start it up. This is the home screen. It is divided into several components, and we will talk about what those are. The first component of our home screen is sort of the main home screen section. It's kind of all throughout the middle of the home screen. And these are the app and widgets, okay? The apps and widgets. So our apps that are installed on the iPad are going to be available here on the home screen. They will be represented by icons, little pictures or symbols. And of course, VoiceOver will announce what they are. And you move, as you know, because this is not a VoiceOver class, so you should already know this, but we're going to just remind you for now that you move between icons with the swipe gesture with one finger. If you're a VoiceOver user, you can tap on something as well. Double tap to open, all those usual gestures. And what we have is the apps, the icons, and also the widgets that you might have, any widgets that might be on the home screen. Now, a widget is basically a real-time, live, interactive element that displays information. For example, maybe you have a weather widget on your home screen. So instead of just being an icon to the weather app, it is actually accessing and displaying real-time weather data. So it might show you that right now it's sunny, and or there's a chance of rain or whatever there may be, and it'll show that to you on the screen. So these widgets can live right alongside of your app icons on the home screen. We'll discuss that more in a later session. And you can also have any kind of background or wallpaper. Some people have their family photos, their kids, their pets Other people will use one of the backgrounds that ship with the iPad that Apple provides, and you have a lot of choices there. So you might have a customized background already, but you can customize that in settings. We'll talk more about that. But let's just touch some of these icons here.
Photos, featured photo, image, actions available, diagram, screenshot, notes, today's list, notes, clock, 2:14 p.m. Actions available, 2, note, today's list, photos, featured photo, image. Swipe up or down to select a custom action, then double tap to activate. Diagram, screenshot. Everett 140. Weather. Everett, current location, 41°F, sunny, high 43°F, low of 19°F. Hourly forecast, 3 p.m. sunny, 42 degrees. 4 p.m. sunny, 43 degrees. 5 p.m. sunny, 6 p.m. 7 p.m. Daily forecast, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday,
Okay.
windy, Friday, partly cloudy, high of 43, Saturday, partly cloudy, high of 41. Calendar,
Now,
Monday, March 3rd, branding iPad for all computing 2025, from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. FaceTime.
Okay, so what we just heard did not really sound like app icons, did it? And that's because it wasn't. I have several widgets on my home screen. There's a featured photos widget. There's the weather with both an hourly and a daily forecast for several days anyway. And there was the clock widget. We also had the calendar widget, which showed some of the upcoming events on my calendar. We had all of these widgets that are there, and you can remove those if you don't like them. But the fact of the matter is, I did have them on here on purpose because I do like them. And so you notice I didn't even have to open the weather app. I could see the forecast right there. Now you can choose the size of your widget. So if you didn't want maybe the daily and hourly forecast to be there and all you wanted was like the current weather conditions, you could make it a small widget and then it would only display the current conditions. But because you have such a large screen, you have that option of using a larger widget if you want to and getting more information. So again, I have the weather, the clock, the calendar, and the photos widget all right here on page 1. But then I do have regular app icons. So listen to this.
FaceTime. Double tap to open files, reminders, maps, home, camera. Double tap to App Store.
Okay.
Double tap to open.
And there's more of them, right? I'm just showing you. So this is the main section of our home screen. It's the app and widget area. Now the next section of our home screen is actually the page selector, because you might remember that I said to you, you can have multiple home screen pages. So if I keep swiping to the right past all of my home screen icons here,
books, podcasts, TV, news, settings. Double tap to open.
We're eventually going to run into
page 1 of 5, adjustable. Adjust value down or scroll left to show today view. Swipe up or down with one finger to adjust the value.
This is the page selector that allows us to change pages and view other additional home screens or home screen pages with their own app icons. And we can use this swiping up or down with one finger, just as VoiceOver described, with if you didn't want to do it that way, if you didn't want to have to find the page selector, as long as you're on any icon of the home screen area, you can of the app and widget area of the home screen rather, you can actually use the 3-finger scroll gesture. 3 fingers swipe to the left or to the right will turn the page and actually change pages. So if I'm on, let's say,
news, double tap to open.
I can just 3-finger swipe to the left.
Page 2 of 5, past page 3 of 5, page 4 of 5.
And so on. And if I want to go back to the previous page, it's a 3-finger swipe to the right. For our non-voiceover users, it's just going to be a 1-finger swipe.
Page 3 of 5, page 2 of 5, page 1 of 5, clock, 17:12.
Now,
10.
We're back on the home screen, page 1 again. So we could have also done that with the page selector. And you heard it say, swipe down or scroll left to show today view. Listen to that again.
Set it page 1 of 5, adjustable. Adjust value down or scroll left to show today view. Swipe up.
So if we go left one more time from page 1, we get what's kind of page 0. It's this today view, and it has a whole bunch of our widgets and timely information, not just the ones, again, you can put widgets alongside of your other apps, but you also have a whole page dedicated to that. So let me just show you that.
Setting, showing today view, adult. Photos, calendar, Brandy Nicole, take my pill, weather, Everett, news, top stories, button, a weekend of frantic, for you, button, top HHS spokes, Academy Awards, the best and worst moment featured, but new treatments give hope, new treatments give hope. Top 8
Let's see.
New page 3 of 3.
We could swipe up with one finger.
Maps, search, news, new maps. Search button, search in restaurants, map of current location, tips, how to use vehicle motion cues, batteries, iPad 2, 36%, AirPods case, 81% charged, Matt's AirPods Pro number 2, 100% stocks, Dow Jones and NASDAQ, standard screen time.
So, you get the idea. We have a lot of information, and
page 3 of 3.
Is that it? I think we can.
Maps. Swipe up, search, but batteries. Page 2 of 3. Page 1 of the best in Academy top.
Now, so I'm now using the 3-finger swipe up or down within the page. So 3-finger swipe left and right changes the page or turns the page. 3-finger swipe up and down scrolls within an existing page. Okay.
Photos, featured calendar, Monday.
All right, there we are back at the top.
News
and
news. New treatment.
Let's see.
We'll
go back to the
page 1 of 5.
To page 1, and we just did a 3-finger swipe left to do that, or from right to left, in other words. So that is the today view that has a lot of widgets on it, and these things can be customized. Again, you can always add widgets, you can remove widgets, you can remove apps, right? And that is done in this sort of jiggle mode, the edit mode that we can get into, but we're not going to do that just at this moment. But we've described 2 areas of the home screen so far, in case you're taking notes, right? The main area, which is the app and widget area, the page selector, and now we're going to talk about the dock. The dock is a row of icons along the very bottom of the screen on any home screen page, and the dock is persistent. What that means is that no matter what home screen page you are on, the dock is always going to be the same. The icons that you see on that bottom row will never change unless you manually change them. But in other words, all the icons that are on the dock are going to stay the same no matter what page you're on. Now, on an iPhone, the dock only displays 4 icons. With an iPad, it's a whole different thing. So let me explain the way the dock is set up on an iPad. First of all, you're going to have 2 sides to the dock on the iPad, the left side and the right side. The left side of the dock is going to be your favorite apps area. There are several apps that come already with their icons on the dock because I guess Apple feels that they're some of the most common apps you might want to use. But you can change that. You can remove some icons, add others. And I don't even know for sure what the total limit is, if there is one. So it's not just 4. You can have way more than that. By default, I think there are 6 here. We're going to see that in a second. And you can have even more than that. I think the most I've ever heard of somebody having, I think there was a YouTube video or an article I read or something at some point where someone said they had like 16 apps on the dock or something like that. Now, it's a little bit, I don't recommend doing that because the more apps you put there, the smaller the icons are going to get, the harder it's going to get to see for people who look at it. But you can definitely add more than just the ones that are here. So let's go to the dock. We'll touch the bottom with the 1-finger tap just to jump down to the bottom. I don't know if I'll land on the farthest one to the left or not, but
dock, Safari.
Okay.
Double tap to open.
That's actually the second one in, so I'll swipe left.
Messages, 1 unread message.
And you notice
page 1 of 5.
There's to the left of that.
Dock, messages, 1 unread message. Double tap to open.
So if we swipe to the left of the dock, we get back to the page selector. And once we're on the page selector, we can swipe to the right to get to the dock. Now, let me just check one thing. Okay. All right. I wanted to see what that one unread message was, and then I just used another device for that. All right. So you know what that is. That's a badge, right? That Messages app has a badge count of 1. That means there's one unread message. VoiceOver reads that. I'm going to go ahead and, on another device, just take care of that for right now. We'll show you how to use messages. See, now it went to 0. We'll show you how to use messages, I think, next week, actually. That's one of the next things that's coming up. But so you can see that's the first icon on the dock.
Hey, dock, messages.
Now,
Double tap to open.
we'll swipe to the right to see the rest of them.
Safari, music, mail, 14 unread emails, calendar, Monday, March 3rd, photos, 1 photo stream update, notes. Double tap to open.
All right, so some of those had different badges and so forth, and but we heard messages, Safari, music, mail, photos, calendar, notes. 7 app icons, 7 apps on the dock. No matter what page of the home screen I am on, those 7 apps are going to remain the same, persistent across all home screen pages. So again, on my iPad, they are messages, Safari, music, mail, photos, calendar, and notes. You don't have to memorize that. It might be the same on your iPad. It might not. But those are the 7 default ones that I had on here, and I've seen no reason to change it. That works well for me. But that is the left-hand side of the dock, the favorite apps area. Now, the right side of the dock is what is known as the suggested apps area. And let's go ahead and swipe to the right and see what they are for now.
Suggestions, news, backpack, Zoom, app library,
And then the last thing we have.
Double tap to open.
All right, so I'll talk about that in a moment. So there are 3 apps that are going to be to the right side of the dock, known as the suggested apps area. Now, where do these come from? Well, there's one of several possibilities. So most commonly, these are going to be the apps that you have, the 3 apps that you have most recently used that are not already on the dock.
Suggestions, Zoom, backpack, news.
Right. And they may be the apps that you opened most recently. It could also be that one of the apps that you see on the right side of the dock is what is known as a handoff badge. For example, if I am on the phone, maybe on a FaceTime call or something on my iPhone, the phone call icon will show up as a handoff badge on the right side of the dock so that I can quickly and immediately transfer the call from my iPhone to my iPad. Or if I happen to be working in an app on my iPhone like Pages that supports handoff, then that handoff badge will show up for Pages on the right so that it'll immediately transfer the Pages document. I can pick up right where I left off on the iPad. I don't have to find the document or anything. It's just going to open up right inside of that document already. And the third possibility is it could make an app suggestion based on behavior, based on time of day. If every morning I get up and I open up the news app and I browse the news while I'm drinking my coffee, well, it might show me the news app on the right-hand side of the dock because it knows it's the right time of day to do that. And so it recognizes that I do that every day, and it's going to display that for me as an available option or a suggestion. So it just kind of depends, but this is your suggested apps area. Those suggestions can come from a number of different places, as I've mentioned to you. Most common is the 3 most recent apps you have open, but you'll also see a handoff badge or, potentially other things there. Now, there could be a case where this kind of, could look weird or confusing if you don't know why it's doing it, but I'll explain it. There could be a case where you have, let's say, mail, for example, on the left-hand side of the dock and on the right. And I'm going to explain why that would happen. So let's suppose I'm using the mail app actively on my iPhone right now. I'm inside the mail app already. There is handoff support with the mail app. And so what it's going to do is it's going to possibly also display the mail app on the iPad on the right-hand side so I can immediately pick up where I left off But the Mail app is also, it also happens to already be on my dock on the left. So if I open it up on the left side of the dock, it's just going to open the Mail app on the iPad. If I open it from the right side icon, it's going to pick up right where I left off from the phone. Now, I don't know if I just open the Mail app on my phone, if that's going to happen, or if I need to be doing something like composing a message. Let's just try it once. I'll open the Mail app on my iPhone here, and let's see what happens.
News. Backpack mail. 14 unread emails.
Yeah, it did do it. It did.
Double tap to open.
So look at that. I'm in the Mail app on my iPhone. Because I'm in the Mail app on my iPhone, it also shows up on the right. So on the left side of my dock,
Dock, Safari, messages, music, mail, calendar, photo, notes.
But now look.
Double tap to open.
The right side.
Suggestions, news, backpack, mail, 14 unread emails.
See that?
Double tap to open.
So that's an example of why that would happen. All right, now I'll get out of the Mail app on my
app library
phone.
Double tap to open.
And now notice.
Suggestions, Zoom, backpack, news.
It went away.
Double tap to open.
That was the handoff badge. So isn't that cool? And then the final thing you have on your dock on the far right side is the app library icon. And we're going to talk about the app library in a little bit. But I just want you to know that the dock is persistent. And by the way, it is possible on an iPad to access the dock within apps. So we can actually make the app, make the dock appear without leaving an app. And there's a couple of ways to do that, which we will get to in a little bit, not just yet. But that is the dock, and that's the next section of the home screen. So again, if you're taking notes, we have the main app and widget area. We have the page selector. We have the dock. And then we have the status bar. Now, the status bar is going to be at the top of the iPad screen. I like to find it by going sort of to the top near the left. And if we touch that.
Monday, March 3rd, status bar item.
Swipe left.
2:30 p.m. Monday, March 3rd.
Swipe right.
Status screen recording in progress. Button. Cellular. 3 of 4 bars. Signals. Home dash. 34% battery. 34% files.
So, as you can see, we have icons that tell us that the screen recording is in progress, that I have 3 bars of cellular. I also have my Wi-Fi icon up there and my battery icon and all of those kinds of things. So what is on the status bar can change depending upon what you're doing at a given moment. But that's the other area of the home screen. So again, what your areas are, you have apps and widgets, you have the page selector, you've got the dock at the bottom, and you've got the status bar at the top. Now, that status bar, there's a hint if you listen to VoiceOver.
Monday, March 3rd, status bar item. Swipe down with 3 fingers to reveal notifications. Swipe up with 3 fingers to reveal the control center. Double tap to scroll to top. Slide 1 finger up from the bottom edge until you hear the second sound. Then swipe down to reveal the dock.
So they've already given you the hint for how to access the dock from within apps. Swipe up from the bottom edge until you hear the second sound and then swipe back down. So we're going to deal with that later. But you've also heard these options for how to get into Control Center and Notification Center. Now, I will say those are legacy gestures. There are new ways to do that I think are much easier because you don't have to first touch the status bar. We can be anywhere.
Home.
We could be on the...
Double tap to open.
That's the Apple Home app, right? We could now open the Control Center without ever having to bring focus to the status bar. And we just do the reverse of the Go Home gesture, right? Instead of putting a finger at the bottom and swiping up, you put a finger at the top and swipe down.
Control Center. Focus button.
So now we're in Control Center. And let's see what we can learn about Control Center. I'm going to do the 4-finger single tap at the top.
Add controls button. Add controls button.
There's a button right there to add controls so that you can customize the Control Center, remove things, add things, and so on. Edit what's there, reorder things. Let's swipe to the right.
Power button.
There's your power button. So that is a quick way to turn the iPad off.
Services in use. Microphone button. Cellular. 3 of 4 bars. Xfinity Mobile. Home dash FE. 34% airplane mode. Switched button. Off.
So you had some other status.
Double tap and hold to show more controls. Double tap to toggle setting.
Now
Actions available.
You heard it say a lot of things there. You heard it say double tap and hold to show more controls. That is the long press gesture, my friends. We do not want to neglect to talk about the long press gesture. For our sighted users who do not use VoiceOver, it literally is just a long press. You just tap and hold on a particular icon. For a VoiceOver user, it's a double tap and hold. Or if you're not comfortable with the double tap and hold gesture, you can try a triple tap, and in most cases that will work as well. There are also rotor actions, which many times will have the same options as the long press, but not always. So I encourage you to try both. But here you heard that both options are available.
AirDrop, switched button, on, contacts only. Double tap to toggle setting, actions available.
Okay, that one didn't say double tap and hold, but the other one did.
Airplane mode, switched button, off. Double tap and hold to show more controls. Double tap to toggle setting, actions available.
Right? So this is our control center. We can keep going.
Air Wi-Fi, switched, more controls, button.
More controls
Double
for...
tap to expand,
and
actions available.
That's an expandable option for connectivity, so we would see other things besides just airplane mode, AirDrop, and Wi-Fi. Now,
Selected, AirPlay audio, button. iPad, not playing. Previous track, button. Pause, button. Next track, button.
now it says
Actions available.
it says it's not playing, but then there's a pause button. Why is that? Well, because we're technically using an audio playback. I mean, we're in Zoom, so that's why you're going to see things that look like that. But
Lock rotation, switched button, off.
if you
Double tap to toggle setting, actions available.
if you want to lock the rotation of your iPad, you can turn that on. That puts the orientation lock on, so it forces it in whatever orientation it was in. I don't like that on the iPad. Well, I don't use that on any device, really, because I want it to be able to rotate if it needs to. But especially the iPad, which you can literally anywhere put in another orientation. So, personal preference, right? But that's where the option is.
Screen mirroring, button. Brightness, 48%. Adjustable. Volume. Focus. Living room.
Now, we're going to talk about...
Living
what was
room.
that?
Table lamp.
Oh, that's my HomeKit. Okay, it'll show you.
Living room. Table lamp. Off. Living room. Floor lamp. Off. Mute. Switched button. Off.
Your mute.
Stage manager. Button. Camera. Apple TV remote. Selected. Screen recording. Flashlight. Switched button. Off. Scan code. Button. Quick note. But page 1 of 4. Favorites.
Okay, so we're not going to go over all of those things today. Many of them will be covered in this class. For example, we will define Stage Manager later on. We will talk about screen mirroring. We'll definitely talk about some of those other options that you heard as well. But not today as a day one thing. But the reason we wanted to swipe through them is because I wanted to show you that at the end of your controls, there's a page selector. And again, you should be able to use that 3-finger swipe to the left and to the right without even having to touch the page selector.
Page 1 of 4. Page
But
1
I
of
just
4.
want to show you.
Favorite. Page 2 of 4. Now playing. Page 3. Alert. Allow widgets from home to use or location. Don't allow button. Page 3 of home, but page 3 of 4, home, page 4 of 4, connectivity.
Okay.
Page 3, home, basement, I'm home, hallway, study B2000, hallway, Christmas tree, selected, I'm leaving, living room, LG wet garage, main garage door, closed, living room, 32% battery, home, living
Now,
room.
some of those, like the Christmas tree, we no longer have up because it's past, Christmas time. We've taken that down, but it might say no response on that.
Garage, living room, selected. Hallway, study, hallway, Christmas tree, no response.
Yeah,
Button.
no response.
Actions available.
This is a page of the control center that has our HomeKit accessories, or some of them anyway, and different scenes and so forth. And then you had a page that had now playing.
I'm home, button. Actions available.
And it doesn't look like the 3-finger swipe is actually going to work. So I guess I do have to go to the
page 3 of
page
4.
selector.
Page 2 of 4. Now playing. Control other. Speakers and TVs. 12. Selected. AirPlay off. Volume. Next track. Pause. Previous. Minus. 0 seconds.
So this is
Dimmed.
our now
Adjustable.
playing
32%
page.
battery.
So the control center is divided up into 4 pages: favorites, now playing, home, and connectivity. And so you can move through them with that page selector, and then when we're completely done in the control center, we can swipe up to go home.
Clock 2:38 p.m.
Now likewise, you can swipe down from the top of the screen and swipe even further, and it will bring you to the notification center.
Notification center. Monday, 2:38 weather, 40 calendar, from 5 news, a week clock, iPad, not play.
So there's some widgets there.
0 seconds, minus, previous pause, next track, AirPlay audio, calendar, tomorrow, 2 p.m., Tuesdays with TTJ, tomorrow at 2 p.m., Zoom, time sensitive, button. Actions available. News, 5 minutes ago, Apple News Sports, news, 12 minutes ago, car and driver, Ford Shelby GT500 Mustang is rumored to be making a return, button. Mail, 27 minutes ago.
All right,
Vita cost.
these are my various notifications. You know that notifications will appear as banners while you're using the device as well. So when they appear, you can tap near the top middle of the screen to read the notification, and then you can long press. Remember that gesture we just learned, double tap and hold. Long press on that notification to take actions on it. And it really is so important for me to explain that to you. Notifications are actionable. If you took our iPhone class, you remember me saying that probably, but it's super important. Notifications are actionable. We don't want to just let them sit and not do anything. I mean, I do that sometimes too. But really, we want to do something with them. Dismiss them, that's one option, but there's a lot of other things we can do. For example, let's say I wanted to read about that Ford Mustang they were talking about.
News, 6 minutes ago, Apple News Sports, news, 13 minutes ago.
Here it is.
Car and driver, Ford Shelby GT500 Mustang is rumored to be making a return, button.
Now, whether it's
Actions available.
Now, it said action, so we could use the rotor.
Options. More. Clear. Activate default.
And the one you want is more if you want to do the equivalent of the long press. Options are going to be options about the notification, like deliver quietly and so forth. And clear, of course, is dismiss. I'm going to try the long press gesture because that works when the banner appears. It should also work in the notification center.
News, 14 minutes ago. Car and driver, Ford Shelby GT500, save for later.
Yep,
button.
and the little menu popped up. Same thing as if I had chosen more. So if I just double tap the notification, it's going to open the app. It would have opened this article in the news app. But for me, I long pressed it, so now...
Read story, button.
We read story.
Save for later, button.
Save for later.
Dismiss context menu, button.
All right, not dismiss the notification, but dismiss the context menu. I'm going to save this for later.
Save for later, button.
Okay.
Vertical scroll bar. News, up clock, news, a weekend, alarms off, notification center clear, notification center, button.
We can clear everything.
Calendar, grouped, summary, Brandy Nicole's 42nd birthday, ACM iPhone training tomorrow.
There's
3 hours ago.
There's a group. So what that means is it's displaying notifications for a particular app in a group. So if I want to expand that group, I just double tap.
Zoom, calendar, grouped, screenshot.
Okay, now let's look.
Calendar, tomorrow, 11 a.m., ACM iPhone training, calendar, 14 hours ago, Brandy Nicole, Zoom, 30,
okay.
Clear,
so it's got
button.
2 in that group. We
Actions
can clear them
available.
both or one of them. I'm going to go ahead and clear both of them.
Confirm clear. Confirm clear. Zoom.
Okay.
Third taste clear. Tasty. Grouped. Summary. Loaded nachos bring all the flavor. Creamy chocolate mousse is rich and creamy. Stuffed meatball pie is warm and cheesy.
Okay, wow. Folks, we're going to take a short time while I read these and cook them. No, I'm just kidding. But they all sound good, don't they? So I'm going to just leave those there right now. That's a certain app that displays those. I am going to leave that one there so I just come back to it later. Because once you dismiss a notification or you take an action on it, it no longer shows up in the notification center. And that's fine if you know where it's going to go. This app is the Tasty app.
Tasty, grouped.
And so I'm just going to leave that there and I'll look at them later. All right, so that's Notification Center. We're going to swipe up from the bottom.
Zoom, 30, book, podcast,
okay.
Books.
We're back home.
Double tap to open.
And I would remind you that the ways we just worked with that, with each of those notifications also works on the banners if you happen to have a banner that appears while you're using your iPad. And so it's as I said, I highly encourage you to take action on your notifications. And then you can do that with the long press or the rotor. You can just double tap a notification and it will open up in the app that generated it. If you're really not interested in it, you can dismiss it. So there's all sorts of ways, but some of these are more important than others. Like if you get a reminder to do something, you've set a reminder to water the plants or something, you can actually snooze that reminder. So you can go in there and choose more or long press on it, and then you can choose mark as completed, or you can choose remind me in an hour, remind me tomorrow, so you can pick these different options. And if you have completed the task, I would recommend, that you choose mark as completed, so that the icon actually disappears then, or the reminder rather, disappears, and it goes to the completed reminders section, so it doesn't stay unchecked. Of course, we're going to learn about reminders in this class later on. Now, I wanted to go back and talk with you about the app library, because you saw that at the bottom, the very last thing on the dock. There's another way to get to it too. Just as you went one page further from page 1 to kind of page 0, which is your today view, you can go one page past the last page of apps to get to the app library. But there's also an icon for it here in the dock.
Suggestions, Zoom, app library. Double tap to open.
So what is the app library? The app library is a place that aggregates all of the apps that you have installed on your iPad and lets you access them in a number of different ways, such as by alphabetical order, or by search, or by category. So let's open up the app library. Double tap. Okay. So now let's start swiping. Let's go to the left first.
App library, search field.
You notice
Double tap to edit.
there's a search field. We're going to look at that in a moment. But let's go to the right and see what else is here.
Suggestions, App Store. Files. Settings. TV. Recently added Paramount Plus.
Okay.
Double tap to open.
The first thing you had was suggestions. The next thing you're going to find is there are going to be different categories based on the app categories themselves. You can't manually change these, but they appear based on the App Store categorization and so forth. And it's going to read the name of the category, and it's already going to read the first app in that category. So don't skip over it by accident, right? Make sure you listen to the whole thing. It says it's going to read the category name and then the first app in the category. So this is recently added, and it's Paramount Plus, and let's go to the right.
Boggle, Arcade Edition. Just Mowing. Recently added folder, 8 apps.
All right.
Double tap to open.
So what we've learned is it will display the category with 3 apps from that category, and then there will be an option to view all the apps in that category. It's calling it a folder, but it says recently added, and it said there are 8 apps there. 3 of them, Paramount Plus, and then Boggle, which is an Apple Arcade game, and also Just Mowing, which is an Apple Arcade game. And then it says view all of them or see all. There are 8. Now let's keep going to the next one. Go to the right.
Productivity and finance. Mail. No unread emails.
Now,
double tap to open.
No, so it says productivity and finance, and the first one is mail.
Zoom. Pages.
Okay.
Double tap to open.
Mail, Zoom, and pages, and then we're going to find a see all.
Productivity and finance folder. 15 apps.
It's not actually.
Double tap to open.
Notice it's not actually saying see all. It just says the name of the folder. That was my mistake. I just made that connection, but that's what it is. It's the see all of that particular. So all the productivity and finance ones, it says there are 15. Let's do one more. Go to the right again.
Utilities, Safari, Backpack, Voice Memos, Utilities folder, 16 apps.
All right.
Double tap to open.
So you get the idea. This is one way we can view apps in the app library, is by category. Another thing we can do is go back to the top left.
App library, search field. Double tap to edit.
Double tap on this edit field.
Search field is editing. App library. Character mode.
Now,
insertion point at start.
We indeed can absolutely type the name of an app that we are looking for here. But what I want to show you without typing anything is that if you swipe to the right now.
Cancel button. Section index adjustable.
This
swipe up or down
is awesome, because what we have is an entire alphabetical listing of every app that we have installed on our iPad. So you have to go into the search field to find this, but then just don't type anything if you don't want to. You can see every app listed alphabetically.
Okinator, Amazon, Amber, App Store, Apple Store, Art Studio Pro, B, Heading, Backpack, Best Buy, Bible, Boggle, Books, Brushes. C. Heading. Calculator. Calendar. Camera. Candy bars. Conduit. Chalkboard. Chat GPT. Clips. Clock. Contacts. Cookie doodle.
And I hope you're getting the idea that they're all alphabetical. If we want to, we can use that section index. Maybe I know that I have an app called Ferrite, which I often use for audio editing. So I can go over here.
Clips. Chat GPT. Screen record. Cookie contacts. Circans. Section index. Adjustable.
And swipe down.
B. C. Night. E. F. Selected.
There's F, and now when I touch somewhere near the top left of the screen.
FaceTime. Fair food. Fandango. Feedback. Ferrite.
There's Ferrite. And so that's how we can use the entire alphabetical list of all of the apps we can use. They're also organized by heading, right?
Actions, voices, containers, vertical headings, G, H, heading, J, K, L, M,
right.
Heading.
So that's getting us that way through our letters.
Magnifier, mail, make candy, maps, marshmallows, max, measure, messages, milkshakes, music, my dear farm plus, my town home, N, heading, Netflix, news, notes.
So you get the idea. So that is and of course we could have typed something in that search field as well. I'm just going to
backpack,
dismiss the search field and now go home.
App library. Page 105, adjustable maps.
What it's going to actually do is put you back on whatever page you last were on. And we were on page 1, so we happen to be there. So it brings us right back to that page. So that's the app library. That is a little bit about how you use that. And I just want to show you. Now, this may require me to make some noise with the iPad because, remember, we're in original sound. So every time I touch the iPad or move my hands along the iPad, we are going to hear the sound of my hands on the iPad because I'm in original sound. But I just want to quickly show you that when we turn the iPad to a different direction, the orientation will automatically change. So I've got this on the Magic Keyboard right now, which has helped me to avoid touching it, but now I'm deliberately going to touch it. So I apologize for the background noise. I'll try to keep it minimal, but I just want to show you. Okay, now we rotate to portrait.
Screenshot. Everett 1. Notes. Note. Home. Maps.
And it actually did it.
Double
It didn't even announce it. I don't know why. Let's rotate back.
Everett 142.
I think maybe
camera. Apps. Books.
It might have something to do with the fact that that we're doing a screen broadcast or something, because it's like, yeah,
screenshot.
It's weird.
Everett
it's doing
1.
it, but it's not even saying it, and that's not typical. Back on here. Little noise for a moment. Okay. But it did actually rotate, so I'm not sure why it didn't actually say it. I assume it's got something to do with our Zoom meeting. I'll play with that in a little bit. Okay, so we've covered the app library. We've covered the home screen. Let me take a quick look here at our agenda here and see if there's anything else that okay, so let's see. Okay. All right, so we're good. So the only thing that I want to just point out that we didn't really cover today, and I really can't because it will mess with the screen share, is the lock screen. And again, we described during the setup session last week how to set up your biometrics and everything. But when I unlock my iPad by either touching the screen or pressing the top button or something, or opening the cover if I have it in the case, it will automatically accept my Face ID if I am holding it properly, or Touch ID if I rest my finger on it if I have a Touch ID model. And then it's going to continue to display the lock screen with any widgets I may have on the lock screen, any notifications that I may have, and then I can just swipe up to go home. Now, I also can, for example, especially with the Touch ID iPad, I can keep resting my finger, and it will actually, if I rest it long enough, not only will it unlock with Touch ID, but it will bring me to the home screen. So that's a shortcut way for the Touch ID users to do it. But the lock screen is also customizable, and if you long press on the time, and I can show you this a little bit with the iPhone, it's very similar. As I said, there's not really a
Show
practical way to do
notifications.
that
Show notifications. 2:54.
With the iPad while we're doing a screen share. But if I lift the iPhone up
2:54 p.m.
and it unlocked with Face ID, so I can just swipe up to go home. But I also
Weather. Ford calendar. Amber. XFINITY. Now. Front doorbell. Your camera detected motion. Notification center. Heading clear. Calendar. Grouped. XFI Canary. News.
see it's got a lot of the same types of notifications and others. And then again, we can swipe up to go home. But I also want to show you that
Amber Cal. 2:54 p.m.
if we long press where the time is, right there,
Photo wallpaper. Photo wallpaper. Weather. Conditions widget and conditions widget. Calendar. Next event widget and next event widget. And Amber. Recipe progress widget and recipe progress widget. Button. Link of focus. Button. Wallpaper 11 of 12. Adjustable. Customize. Button. Add. Button. Add.
all right.
Add.
So there's several options there if we
Calendar.
long press on the
Clear.
time.
Notification.
The first one we heard was the current wallpaper that we have with the widgets that are listed with it. I have the weather. Now, this is my iPhone, mind you, but I have the weather, the calendar, and the recipe app. And then I have, then there was a button that you could pick. It said wallpaper 11 of 12, I think, so I could swipe up and down with one finger to change. These are all ones that we've made already. My daughter likes to customize my wallpaper in my home screen, so she's made a bunch of them over time with different pictures and different widgets and stuff that I like, and so you can switch between them that way. There was a button there that said link a focus, so you can actually link, for those of you who know what focus modes are. For not, if you don't know, we'll be teaching that later on in the course, but if you do already know, you can actually link a particular focus to a particular wallpaper so that it automatically turns that focus on when you use that wallpaper. Then there was an option to customize the existing one or add a new one. You can have, I think, probably an unlimited number of these, just different lock screen wallpapers, different, all of that. So that's how you customize that. You long press on the time, and then you can go in there and you can create your own lock screen. You can create, pick the photos that you want on your lock screen, the widgets that you want. And again, you can have different widgets on the lock screen from what you have on the home screen. Now we're going to, on Wednesday, we're going to talk about some common settings that might help you to explore settings and so forth. And then we're also going to talk about Siri and Spotlight and all those good things on Wednesday, and just keep moving right along. Praise God. There is one final thing, one final piece of business that I want to talk about today before we go to the other instructors and then go to questions. And that is very simply the idea of setting up cellular service on your iPad. Because we talked about how to set up a new iPad last week. But what we didn't go into was the possibility that you may have to set up cellular service. So I just want to explain that very briefly. You might remember, because I did talk about this when we talked about the different models of iPad that you could buy and so forth. You may remember me saying that if you purchase a cellular capable iPad known as Wi-Fi plus cellular, you are not required to have cellular service at all. It just gives you the option, right? So we can add that at any time. Now, if you got your iPad through a carrier, then it may be required to fulfill their expectations for you financially or what have you. But other than that, you can choose to add cellular service at any time. Now, the most common way that someone is going to do this now here in 2025 is that they are going to add their iPad to their existing cellular plan. That's the least expensive way to do it, and it typically gives you access to unlimited data within, reason. It may be that some of that data is premium and some of it is slower or something, but it basically is unlimited. And so a lot of carriers offer a tablet line option that you can add, and so you just add your iPad to your existing account. That's by far the easiest and the recommended way to do it. And the exact process for doing that is going to vary depending upon the carrier that you have. In some cases, you can do it right in the app. We have Xfinity Mobile, and you usually can do that right in the app without even having to call them. Or a combination of the website and the app. I think I went to the website first, and I added it in there, and then it told me to go to the app in a few minutes. I was able to go to the app and download the eSIM, and it would activate for me. I think, if I recall correctly, setting up this latest iPad, I did it all without ever having to call Xfinity Mobile, if I remember correctly. There is always the option to call your carrier, and they will just ask you for the IMEI number. You can find that under Settings, General, and About. Again, we're going to take more of a look at settings on Wednesday, but Settings, General, About, and you can find the IMEI number. That is the information that the carrier will need to add your iPad to your account. So whether you're doing it in an app or on a website or whether you give them a call, that's the information they'll ask for. And it typically starts with a 3-5 and then a bunch of other numbers. And so you give them that IMEI number, they can add it to your account. Of course, you could also take it into a store and they can do that. Most carriers now will support eSIM for iPads. There was a period of time when there was a bit of a transition. Xfinity Mobile for a while let you bring your own iPad, but you had to order a SIM card, and they didn't charge you for it, but you'd have to wait till they sent it to you. But now they don't do that because some of these iPads, like the latest iPad Pro, don't even support SIM cards in the United States. They're eSIM only. And so the carriers have, come to that, to accept that, and that's why, again, I was able to do that with Xfinity Mobile without ever even having to call them, because it's fully eSIM, digital SIM now, and that's how you activate them. And so most carriers will support that, and that's how it works. And it's very easy to set up cellular on your iPad. Now, there is another option that the iPads offer, and again, this is kind of a last resort sort of, if you really don't plan to use much cellular on your iPad, but you just need it once in a while. There are sort of what they kind of call cellular data passes that you can purchase right on the iPad. Many people probably don't even realize you can do that. But you can go into settings and go into cellular data, and there are options for prepaid accounts you can actually purchase right there. Like you can purchase a one-day pass or a monthly pass. They do have monthly ones. If you're gonna do that, T-Mobile is one of the least expensive that they have, and then there's some other ones I've never even really heard of except in those settings. Some of them are nationwide, some of them are international, and then they even have AT&T in there, but AT&T is pretty pricey if I remember correctly. They used to have a $35 a month for like 25 gigabyte AT&T data plan in there. That's not as good as adding it to your existing account, but not bad. But I don't think they offer that one anymore. I think they've gone to higher plans now that are more expensive. But it is a nice option if you don't want to have to add it to your account. If you're only going to use it for a day or a month, you're traveling out of the country, you want to quickly add a cellular plan to your iPad, and so you just go into settings. You pick the plan you want, and you enter your credit card information, and within 5 minutes or less, it's active. And so that's another way that you can set up cellular, and it just depends on what you want to do, which kind of plan you want, how much you want to spend. But you can even have multiple cellular data plans on a single iPad. Again, this is part of the reason that works is because of eSIM. So we don't have to have physical SIM cards anymore. So it's easy to travel. It's easy to do all of these different things. And that is a brief overview of the cellular setup process for an iPad.
Thanks for joining today's session. Didn't get your question answered? Have an additional comment or feedback? Email us info@ttjtech.biz or info@stirritup.com. And remember, stir is spelled with a U. That's STURITUP.com. Or check out our websites for additional resources. That's ttjtech.biz or stirritup.com. And remember, subscribe to the newsletter when you're there. That way, you don't miss out on any upcoming announcements or events. Thanks for joining us. God bless, and see you next time.